Barnes. And so I am obsessed. And actually, I can show you on here real quick. I have my Bucky collection. This is part of my Bucky collection. So you see on here, we have some dolls. We have Bucky ears, Disney ears, a couple of little things. I got the piece of art from MegaCon, some Winter Soldier comics, and everything like that. It's my obsession with Mr. Bucky Barnes, who I love. But did anybody else want to share? Would anybody like to share their favorite superhero?
I'm a Cap girl, but I also have a little Bucky.
Yay, Bucky!
I've got a Cap to go with him.
There are very few people. I feel like most people don't get the whole Bucky thing. We will be talking though about Bucky and Cap. So
I feel like Bucky was very popular years ago. Not like a long time ago, but like 5 years ago, everyone liked Bucky.
Yeah, the thing with Bucky is that I feel like I kind of missed the train with that a little bit, because I remember I didn't see Captain America Winter Soldier until like the day before Captain America Civil War came out. And I remember hearing people talk about Bucky and like, who the hell is Bucky and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't understand what this is about. And then I'm like, oh, now I'm all in. Would anybody else like to share? Okay.
I mean,
sorry.
Go on.
I was trying to wolf down a sandwich before he started.
Oh, no problem. Who's your favorite?
Oh, I thought she was going to go.
Oh, yeah, I thought Denise was going to. Yeah.
Well, I can go. So
Yeah.
I have a complicated relationship with my favorite superheroes. Normally I land on Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff a lot.
From the comics or from the movie?
Comics.
Okay.
But there's just so many different incarnations of her. Like, in the comics, she has, like, 10 different backstories. And then we have, like, her movie version, which is a completely different incarnation. So it's hard to say she's my favorite, because there's some incarnations of her I really like, and there's some I really don't. And it becomes complicated. But that's normally my answer.
And I should have said that from the beginning. So I'm coming from the perspective of like 90% the movies. So this is kind of where I am with, like, you know, superheroes and comic books and everything like that. So, okay. So since we started a little bit late, I want to make sure that we get through everything, but keep those thoughts about your favorite superheroes, and we'll come back to that at the end. So one of the reasons why I think that I really love superheroes and why so many people love superheroes as kind of like this aspirational factor. So that maybe this isn't how the world is, but this is how the world should be. Like, we should be able to fight against injustice, and we should be able to like succeed against the bad guy, and that there's like this ultimate evil, and like that we can make a difference in the world and everything like that. So it reminded me, one of my friends uses this quote a lot. I don't actually watch Angel, sorry, but I like this quote from Angel that kind of talks about that. So he says, "Nothing in the world is the way it ought to be. It's harsh and cruel, but that's why there's us, champions. It doesn't matter where we come from, what we've done or suffered, or even if we make a difference. We live as though the world is as it should be to show it what it can be." And so that's kind of the perspective that I'm coming from for this, and some lessons that we can learn from the best of the superheroes, and some of the lessons that we see through these movies and everything like that. So the first lesson that I think we can learn from superheroes is what makes you different makes you powerful. And I think we really learn this from the X-Men movies and comic books and everything like that. So obviously throughout history, the majority of the most popular superheroes have been like white men. That's a lot of what we've seen, like, you know, Batman, Superman, all these things. But there have also been packets of diverse characters, some of whom are in the X-Men, that have been embraced for showing better representation. So in recent years, we've seen successful movies for Black Panther, for Wonder Woman, as we stand here, for Captain Marvel. So we're seeing some of these less represented people being represented as superheroes, and especially with the Avengers. So we see so many different diverse people and everything like that. Maybe they're not the most popular ones, but we still see that, and then you see it a lot more in the comic books from what I've heard, that you there's just so many different characters and so many different, even just, sexual orientations and everything like that. And so even though historically the most popular ones have been these white males, that's not what defines a superhero at all. And so one of my favorite superheroes besides Bucky is Storm. So actually, let me bring that up here. So some of you guys might remember, if you knew me from Geeky 16, I dressed up as Storm. So that's me as Storm at Geeky 16, which is fun. Oh, sorry, did you say something?
Oh, I just said that's great.
Oh, yeah. So I cosplayed as Storm for that because I just think that that's so great. And of course, as a Black woman, I just think that she's such a great role model and everything like that. So, so Storm is one of the X-Men. And so the X-Men are mutants who take pride in their differences. And we can see through their example that the things that make us different truly are the same things that make us powerful. And so there's this series on YouTube, and it's called Happiness Motivation. I don't think that he's uploaded in quite a while, but one of the things that he would do is take different TV shows or superheroes or different things like that and tell you what the lessons were of that superhero. And I just find it so inspirational. So we're actually going to watch 2 of those during this time together. And the first one that we're going to watch is about X-Men and about how, like I was saying, what makes you different and embracing our differences and really trying to realize that being different and being unique is awesome. And so he kind of talks about that. And so we're going to watch that. So I'm going to mute and switch. Okay.
Who doesn't know Marvel's X-Men? Wolverine, Cyclops, Professor Xavier, Magneto. 7 films so far, 2 animated TV series, numerous video games, and more than 500 comic books. And everything started thanks to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in 1963. The X-Men are mutants, a subspecies of humans who are born with superhuman abilities. They fight for peace and equality between normal humans and mutants in a world where anti-mutant bigotry is fierce and widespread. I wish I could say it's just fantasy or sci-fi, that bigotry doesn't exist in our lives. But if you examine their story deeper, you can see it's as real as us, a reflection of society, a faithful mirror where we can look at ourselves. Magneto knows personally that mankind has always feared what it doesn't understand. We live in an age of darkness, a world full of fear, hate, and intolerance. But in every age, there are those who fight against it. You could be one of those. Like Charles Xavier and the X-Men, you were born in a world divided. But like them, it's a world you should try to heal. Become more than a leader, more than a teacher. Give strength to those who are afraid and a family to those alone. Wherever you may go, you must carry on the X-Men vision. And that's a vision of a world united. Many times we all feel different, isolated from society and outside. We feel, in a way, like mutants. Mystique would remind us, it's what makes you beautiful. Everything you are, you're perfect. Yes, we're different, but we shouldn't be trying to fit into society. Society should aspire to be more like us, mutant and proud. We're so obsessed wanting society to accept us that sometimes we forget to accept ourselves. Don't waste energy trying to blend in with humanity. You should be celebrating your differences. We must enjoy every moment of our existence. Shadow Cat warns us that everything is so fragile. There's so much conflict, so much pain. You keep waiting for the dust to settle, and then you realize it. The dust is your life going on. If happy comes along, that weird, unbearable delight that's actually happy, you have to grab it while you can. You take what you can get because it's here, and then gone. Now is the time to change your future, to mutate it. You have a bright future in front of you if you accept it. The X-Men reminds us that the future is never truly set. The future is what you make of it. We are not destined down any dark path. We can evolve fast enough to change ourselves, change our fate. You can change if you choose to believe in yourself because there's good in you. As Professor X tells Magneto, there's so much more to you than you know. Not just pain and anger, there's good too. And when you access all of it, you'll possess a power no one can match. We must fight for all the good that the X-Men represent. Choose your heart over your past. Don't be afraid of what you don't understand, and embrace your uniqueness. We stand together. X-Men. All of us.
Oops. Okay, I think I can. Did everybody hear that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
We
Yay!
did it.
So that's our first example that the things that make us unique and the things that make us different are also the things that can really make us powerful, and reminding us of that with the X-Men. So the second lesson that I feel like we can learn from superheroes is that death cannot stop true love or friendship. What it can do is delay it for a while. So yes, that is a quote from Princess Bride, but it's also representative of Captain America and Bucky's friendship through the years. So as I said, I could probably talk about this for like hours, but we're just going to talk about it for a second. So I'm going to go over the storyline just in case people don't know the storyline of Cap and Bucky. So the storyline of Cap and Bucky is my favorite part of the Marvel Universe. They grew up together as best friends with Steve Rogers, Cap, perpetually in the sidekick role to Bucky. And basically the clip that we're going to watch at the end of this is like kind of goes through their entire history together. So you'll see this. Some of the ones at the beginning, the first clips are a little soft. So hopefully you'll be able to hear it, but you see this going on. So Steve is the sidekick, Bucky is the protector. Bucky protects Steve for years, and then when Steve becomes Captain America, the dynamic shifts, and Steve protects Bucky, and he saves his life and everything like that. When they come back together in the present day, after both being frozen for 70 years, obviously Bucky was kind of off and on being frozen, Bucky is a brainwashed villain. But Steve is the only person who sees Bucky for the person that he truly is, his best friend. And so even when, Falcon and Sam is like, I don't think he would do the same thing for you that you would do for him. Like, you think that he's your friend because of these 70 years, but like, he's not your friend anymore. He's trying to kill you. And Steve is like, no, I can be the one. I can help him. I can help him realize who he is. And he does. And he really does. He's the only one who really sticks up for Bucky and who's always there for him no matter what. And then we see in Civil War when, Bucky is being framed for something that he didn't do, because now he's not doing those bad things. And Cap is the only one who really is like, from the beginning, he's like, even if he did do it, he's like, I don't want him to have to die for this. Like, I'm the only one who can like bring him in because I'm the least likely to die trying. So I think that loyalty is really important. And of course, some people feel like it's one-sided. I feel like Bucky loves Cap just as much as Cap loves Bucky. But I know that some people feel like Cap is doing all these things for Bucky and in the modern day, and that Bucky doesn't really appreciate that. But I feel like he does. And I feel like we have examples of that through it. But anyway, their enduring friendship and loyalty can inspire all of us in our friendships and relationships as well. As they promise one another, I'm with you till the end of the line. So we're going to watch a quick overview of Cap and Bucky. So they're some of their best moments in the first two Captain Americas, and then there's kind of like, I made this video before Captain America Civil War came out, but Captain America Civil War has like kind of a little like intro thing, like an interview that they did about it before it came out. So it's mainly the first two movies, and then Captain America Civil War just has a little bit, so. Oops.
This all day. Hey, out something your own size. Sometimes I think you like getting punched. Had him on the ropes. How many times is this? Look, I know you don't think I can do this. This isn't a back alley, Steve. It's war. I know it's a war. Why are you so keen to fight? There's so many important jobs. What are you going to do? Collect scrap? Yes. My little red wagon. Why not? I'm not going to sit in a factory, Bucky. Bucky, come on. There are men laying down their lives. I got no right to do any less than them. That's what you don't understand. This isn't about me. Right. Because you got nothing to prove. Don't do anything stupid until I get back. How can I? Taking all the stupid with you. You're a punk. Jerk. How about you? Ready to follow Captain America into the jaws of death? Hell no. Fellow guy from Brooklyn who was too dumb not to run away from a fight. Following him. Your name is James Buchanan Barnes. Shut up! I'm not here to fight you. You're my friend. You're my mission. Because I'm with you. I'm with you till the end of the line, pal. Do you remember me? Your mom's name is Sarah. Steve's a loyal guy. It's always pretty cut and dry for him to know which side of the coin to fall on when it's people that actually have a history. Consider each other brothers. It's much more difficult to navigate. Captain America's the only other guy who was out of time and out of place. Their tragedies just brought them closer. You know I wouldn't do this if I had any other choice. But he's my friend.
Okay. So I know that one was a little bit softer, so hopefully you guys could still hear that.
We could.
Okay, awesome. So we said that our differences make us amazing, and the importance of friendship and being there and being loyal to one another is another example that we can have from superheroes. And so my third lesson that I think we can learn from superheroes is that we can always choose to fight back against evil forces for truth, even when others tell us that that's impossible. And we learned this lesson from Wonder Woman. And so Wonder Woman is a great example of bravery and fighting injustice. So she reminds us not to be inhibited or discouraged by those who might laugh at us or put us down for trying to help others. And also almost like that bleeding heart kind of thing, you know, for caring about other people and for wanting to be there for other people no matter what. Sometimes people can be like, oh, well, that's silly. And, oh, you're not going to be able to change the world, so why should you even try? But, like, I feel like Wonder Woman is a really great example of, like, you know, I'm going to try as much as I can. I'm going to do my best. And you're not going to tell me that I can't help people, which I really relate to. So she's physically strong, but she's also, historically, she's a pacifist. And so whenever possible, she tries to speak about things, and she's like, the way is love. And she's not just about hurting people. She's about trying to help people in whatever she can do. And so her main weapon is actually like a defensive shield. And so even though she has her sword and everything like that, like one of the main things you see her with is a shield. And she also helps defeat evil through her lasso of truth. So the things she's really known for are not really offensive weapons in the same way as some of the men and everything like that. She definitely has a different purpose as a superhero. So Wonder Woman shows us that we should always fight for what's right, even if we're not always sure that we can win. And so I think that's really cool. And I love in the movie, and so the clip that we're going to watch is actually from the recent movie. I guess now it's not that recent, but for Wonder Woman. And so it's the scene, like, I guess it's become kind of famous, where she decides that she is going to go and be a part of the fight in no man's land, even though all of the men and all of the other people tell her that it's impossible and there's no way. And they've been there for years and nothing has happened. And you can't just do this by yourself, and you can't just go out there and do these things. But she's like, no, I'm going to do what I know is right, no matter what. And I feel like it's really inspiring, and just another example of why so many people love Wonder Woman, and an example that we can use in our lives. So we're gonna watch a scene from Wonder Woman. Oops.
Diegenen die niet konden ontsnappen, die worden uitslavelijk. Beth, aan die andere kant van die loophouse.
Dinah, we have to go.
We need to help these people.
We have to stay on mission. The next safe crossing is at least a day away.
We cannot leave without helping them. These people are dying. There's nothing to eat, and in the village enslaved, she said.
I understand that.
Women,
we need to
children.
make our next position by
How can you say that? What is the matter with you?
This is no man's land, Diana. It's no man can cross it, all right? This battalion has been here for nearly a year, and they barely gained an inch. All right, because on the other side, there are a bunch of Germans pointing machine guns at every square inch of this place. This is not something you could cross. It's not possible.
So what? So we do nothing?
No, we are doing something. We are. We just can't save everyone in this war. This is not what we came here to do.
No, but it's what I'm going to do.
Let's go!
So one of the things in that scene as well that I was thinking about when I was just watching it just now, one, seeing that again, that she's on the defense, and so with her shield and everything like that. But then at the end, when like everybody's going against her and she's like kind of holding her stance and everything like that, that a lot of times that can feel like us in our lives, you know, where everything is coming at us and where we're just like just trying to hold on to that shield and just trying to do what we can just to do what we can to get through and everything like that. So I find that just so inspiring. When I first saw that, even just like in the movie theater, I was like, oh my gosh, that scene is like amazing, just as an example for us to stand up for what we know that we when we know what's right. So So the fourth and final lesson that I'm going to go over, so we're actually going kind of quick, so we'll have time for favorite superheroes at the end and discussion about anything that you, any questions or anything you might want to talk about any of these clips too, because I know we're going through kind of quick, but I wasn't sure how long it would take. So my lesson number 4 and the final lesson is the community that we surround ourselves with is essential. So find your tribe. And we learn this through the Avengers. So AwesomeCon, so this whole convention is such a great example of the importance of community. We're coming together from all over the country to have fun, to learn new things, and just to be with one another. And in the midst of these uncertain times, we realize that the importance of our friend, we realize how important our friend support is and finding our tribe and being there for one another. On a much grander scale, so we see this through the Avengers, so they're diverse beings from all over the galaxy, not even just people, but all kinds of different beings from all around the world and the galaxy, and with different backgrounds, and they have different motivations, and they've had different upbringings and different people in their lives, different families, and they all come together to do something that no one individual would have been able to do alone. So we're stronger together, and that's what we learned from the Avengers. And as we realize that all of the unique gifts that each of us bring to the community, back to lesson number 1, so that we're all unique and we're all bringing this together to this community, we realize that we realize what we can accomplish when we work as a team. And so that's really the inspiration that we see from the Avengers, that they're all these different people and that they use their gifts to come together as a team and to all, everybody has their part and everybody has their part to play, but they work as a team, and that community is so important. And while we are kind of alone together, especially like I said with AwesomeCon, I think that's a really important thing for us to remember, just the importance of community and the importance of being there for one another. So this is another, like I said, happiness motivation, just like that one we watched for the X-Men. I think it's really brilliant what he has to say about Avengers, and it inspires me, and hopefully it will inspire you as well, in thinking about community and thinking about the importance of that and what we can learn from superheroes about community. So this is our final clip, final lesson.
The Avengers, a team of superheroes to fight the foes no single superhero can withstand. The original team consisted of Iron Man, Ant-Man, the Wasp, Thor, and the Hulk. That was back in 1963. Now the Avengers has more than 22 superheroes, several animated series, spin-offs, video games, awards, and at the end of 2014, it was the 3rd highest grossing film of all time, with $1.5 billion. And that's because the Avengers is more than a comic book. It's more than a movie. It's pure philosophy. The reason is because they speak to a basic human need. Each Avenger carries with them their own lesson, but its greatest message is that if we work together as a team, we can achieve anything. It's the power of unity. Hulk teaches us that we must accept ourselves as we are. It took a lot of time for Bruce Banner to accept this, but when he did, he became arguably the most powerful Avenger ever. If you take control and accept yourself, greatness will be in your life. Black Widow has a past wrapped in secrecy. She wants to change. Now, while you can't change the past, dwelling on it can only hurt the future. Moving on is what enabled her to become a vital member of the Avengers. Black Widow was proof that what we were is not necessarily what we can become. Captain America teaches us that fear is no excuse not to follow what you believe. If it's important to you, don't give up. Simple. You stand your ground. And as he once said, when the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree by the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. Each member tells an honest truth. Hawkeye, your eye on the target. Thor, there is much good we might do. And even Iron Man, when the bad guys knock us down, we get back up to our feet better than ever and twice as tough. It's what we do. Nick Fury still believes in heroes. And if you believe in yourself, if you never give up, people will gather around you, support you, share your ideas, your goals. You begin to assemble your own team of Earth's mightiest heroes. There is no shame in asking for help, and that is the purpose of a team. Make your own. Support one another. Catch one another when they fall. And always fight the good fight. Avengers, assemble.
Yay. So yeah, a little bit of inspiration for our last one. So again, I'll just go over this one more time. So our lessons the 4 lessons that I felt like we could learn from superheroes are: what makes you different makes you powerful. Death cannot stop true love or friendship. What it can do is delay it for a while. We can always fight back against evil forces for truth, even when others tell us it's impossible. And the community that we surround ourselves with is essential. So find your tribe. So did anybody have any questions, comments, anything you'd like to share about superheroes, or maybe something that you admire about superheroes, or why you like superheroes, or whatever?
A couple things, but I'll start with the last one, which is about the community.
Mm-hmm.
I've loved, I have a lot of neurological problems, so I'm home a lot anyway. And I've loved that all these other people are at home, but not just at home, wanting to be together. And I love that our group did this. I mean, and Jeremy, thank you so much.
Yay.
It's been like, it's just been brilliant. I've loved it so much.
Aww.
Well, of course, I'm happy to, and there's lots of panels today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
On the superhero note, I think that there's lots of different like facets to why people are so fascinated by superheroes. I mean, you have like the origin of superheroes, right? Like written by minorities to represent their struggles. Like most of the great comics writers and artists were Jewish or queer or black or combination of the three, and they really tried to create a world with symbolism of people trying to do the right thing where society doesn't want to let them.
Yeah.
And they made it more fantastical in a way that really got people to start thinking about the way they view things. And I don't think we'll ever really know like to what degree did superheroes help social justice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it really did add this whole dynamic layer.
Yeah.
And then you also have the facet of like, what is a superhero? Like, how do we define that as a society? Do you have to be in comics? Do you have to be in a movie adaptation based on comics? Is Harry Potter a superhero? Things like that. Where do we draw this line? If Batman's a superhero, then you don't even need superpowers.
Yeah.
So it can really start encompassing a lot of things, and just when you take it at its base value, superheroes are heroes who do super meaning great things.
Yeah, extraordinary things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. I've never really thought about that. Like, what defines a superhero? I guess I've just always kind of gone with like the more strict version of like DC, Marvel, or like you've been in a comic book, or like, but that's interesting to think about. Yeah.
In DC, and I'm a huge DC girl, especially the Bat universe. That's like my universe. And Batgirl's been my favorite one since I was like 7 or something like that. And And then Batwoman came along in the comic books. I tried watching the TV series. It looks really good. It's just like really different than the comic books. Very, very different.
Yeah.
But what DC tends to do, when especially in the Bat universe, is they want all their superheroes to have miserable home lives, like be completely miserable and abandoned and orphaned, insane family members that try to kill their family members. And I mean, Batgirl's brother's just like, holy crap. And the thing about them is Batgirl, I don't know how to explain it, so I'll just say what my experience with Batgirl was. In more recent times, not when I was little. Because when I was little, it started with the Batman TV series and Yvonne Craig, and so I was all about Batgirl. But more recently, DC put out the New 52 series, and what happened was Batgirl before this, she had been shot by the Joker, and she went through her spinal column, and so she couldn't be Batgirl anymore, but she was something called Oracle, who she's really brilliant. She has an eidetic memory, and she basically formed a league of these female superheroes, and she called herself Oracle, and she would just connect to computers throughout Gotham and direct activities and stuff. Then she had the surgery, which she has like an implant, and it functions as like a nerve thing with her spinal cord. So she got back to being Batgirl in the New 52. And when I started reading this, was at a point where I was just like really bad, like really, really low. And it wasn't like just my health things. It was the woman who was managing our homeowners association was just like hell bent on making me her last sacrificial lamb before she left, because she was fired because she's an asshole anyway. And and so my husband and they I had this beautiful like bee and butterfly garden out in the front yard, and they basically, it was destroyed, and they just planted grass and like a few bushes, and and then I also I'm sorry.
It's okay.
At the exact same time this was happening, like going to the meetings and stuff, my little rabbit died, and then my precious little duck Yerps a lot, who I don't know if any of you know him, because he died. This was like right after LeakyCon 2014. He was my precious little duck. And if any of you were on here when I showed you the picture I drew of the other day, he just up and died in my arms. I picked him up to give him his bath, and he just died. And I mean, he was my heart. And then they destroyed my garden, and I just felt completely done in. And then my husband got me like all the New 52 Batgirls and Batwoman up to that point for Christmas. And I just stayed there for like 2 months reading them, and just they were what they had gone through. I mean, Batwoman saw her. She didn't see it. They had a bag over her head. She and her mother and sister were kidnapped, and then her mother and sister were murdered by these it was like a political thing. And she and Batwoman's also gay, and I'm not gay, but just this fierceness and how she owns that.
Yeah.
And she you can see not just her wanting to fight, like Batman would say, like you had to have that in you to be this superhero and fight back this horrible grief, but just and how I felt like she put this fierceness into how she owned being gay into being Batwoman too. I mean,
Yeah.
she's just an amazing, amazing character. I love her so much. And Batgirl, I have a lot of PTSD, like from my mother and the religion I grew up with, and she when the New 52 started had a lot of PTSD from the Joker, and it being a comic series, she had, she was able to deal with it fairly quickly. And I've, of course, that doesn't really work that way in real life, but she faced it in the way that you do face it. And she found herself freezing, and she knew she couldn't be Batgirl. She found herself freezing. And it just, so those two just, they really just they were there for me. And
I was gonna say, yeah, it's amazing how these stories come into our lives in the times that we need them.
yeah,
It makes me think about that. Yeah. And people will say, like, oh, well, it's like this fictional story, but it's like, no, but it means something to me, and it's meaningful to me, and it spoke to me and got me through a time that I didn't think I was going to get through. So I think that's so important. Yeah.
And a lot of people, a lot of us, or we wouldn't be here together. We experience a lot of our inner life through these metaphors. We don't just have feelings of how we're reacting, what happens day to day, but we are literally experiencing life through these things, and our feelings are attached to these metaphors. And it makes us, I just feel like I often look at people who, like, I just think of as muggles, and how I just feel like our feelings, like, they rise to these incredible heights with these superheroes.
Yeah.
And how do other people, like the muggles, function?
Yeah,
I
think that too.
they're happy, I guess, but I don't, it's a whole different mindset, I guess. So I just don't understand.
Well, some people do that same kind of thing through sports too. I do sports and, but I think that's definitely that same level of, like that emotion and getting so emotionally invested. And people find different ways to deal with it. But yeah, that's definitely true. Well, yeah. But thank you for sharing. That was amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel like now I need to read Batgirl and Batwoman because I don't know anything about them. But
I
I've heard of that TV show, but I haven't seen it.
If you want to start with them, you can start with start with Batwoman Elegy, because that one is like a prequel. So you don't have to read it, but I definitely recommend beginning there, or you might have some questions with the very officially first one. And I'm not sure what they're printing in terms of Batwoman after the New 52. It started in 2011. But with Batgirl, I'll tell you, I don't know what kind of thing you like, but based on the clips you showed us, I think that you would definitely prefer and love the New 52 Batgirl. It is raw and real, and lots of violence on a level that is just, my husband could not understand why I would lay in bed reading this before I go to sleep, because he's not allowed to talk to me about things like Law and Order or anything like that once I'm in bed. But they're reading Batgirl, which is just like gruesome level of violence, but it's her dealing with it. And she has someone, how like when you take quizzes and they're like, they want you to choose between justice and mercy. And I've never quite understood that, because Batgirl has both, and she has a huge level of compassion. And I've never quite figured out. I always think she's either a Hufflepuff or a Ravenclaw. I mean, she's brave, but her other qualities of just how brilliant she is and how curious she is, and then also her compassion and humanity. I can't decide whether she's a Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw, but she is into both. Like, there'll be people who she'll just like be talking to them before the cops get there, and then she unhandcuffs them and tells them to go before the cops get there. And she did that to the guy who she recognized as being there when the Joker shot her, and because she realized someone called the cops, and she realized it had to have been him that called the cops to help her, not to get them, but to help her. And so anyway, I'm just letting you know what the New 52 Batgirl's like, because the ones that come after that are much almost more cartoony. I love them a lot, but I think you personally would love them. Oh gosh, I just realized I'm probably eating up a lot of your time.
Oh no, that's okay, because I was done with what we were doing, and so we only have like 7 minutes anyway, so it's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So yeah, we're just. I realized I'm hearing awesome. Oh, is that Sammy talking?
Yes.
I didn't get to catch what you said on the chat, but yeah. So we're Sammy. If you'd like to talk too, we're just kind of last comments about superheroes and the examples or the inspiration that we get from superheroes, and sharing any stories or anything we'd like to say about the importance of superheroes in our lives. So, yeah. Would anybody else like to share?
I think not even just about the importance of superheroes, but I've never been like I like superheroes. I like Marvel. I like DC. I like Dark Horse and comics in general, and I like the world. But I've always been someone that was more interested in like fantasy than whatever genre comics are. They're their own thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like this is a discussion, but I don't even know how to like start this discussion. Like, what do we think the differences are between like a superhero movie, for instance, and like an urban fantasy story?
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't really know, but I feel like I'm on the other side of that, obviously, because I love superheroes. But I feel like I'm on the other side of that, where I am less interested in fantasy and more on like the superhero. And maybe because it's more grounded in reality, I don't know. Maybe because I see just like a heightened version of my own life. And so then I see inspiration in that. And I'm like, well, I could do that because they're living in like a version of New York or blah, blah, blah. You know, like all these different things. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is and why.
So where do you fall in, like, I don't know how familiar you are with urban fantasy, but like Buffy or things like that. I don't know if you ever watched. Pretty much urban fantasy is any form of fantasy you've seen that takes place in our world. So like Harry Potter is technically urban fantasy, even though it's pretty separate.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't really watch Buffy, so I think it's the darkness aspect for me. And so, like, I've always seen or just thought, because I saw like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie that was like totally kitsch, and I liked that. But then when I started watching the TV show, I was like, oh yeah, like not because I don't know. I guess because I just like not happy things, but like I feel like there's a line for me. I think it's with the darkness aspect, at least with Buffy, from my perspective of not really having watched it that much, but just like for me, and like when I watched like some of the DC shows on or whatever, like I started watching like the Flash, but I think like the Arrow and like some of the other ones I just felt like were like kind of just going too dark, and I was like, I don't really want to get into this, and I like kind of lighter fare, and I guess the Flash I guess is lighter, that's what people have said. But yeah, I guess that for me, at least with Buffy, it's like the darkness versus like, especially with Marvel, and I guess with DC you still have the darkness, but that's why I don't watch as much DC, because I'm that kind of person that likes to see like the positive side of life and 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 so like I would rather not go there for like an extended amount of time, you know. So that's just me.
No, that makes sense. Does anyone here watch Supergirl?
I used to watch it. I watched it the first couple seasons.
Yeah, I used to watch it as well.
Yeah. So I still watch it, but like everyone I know, like that used to watch it, this is a weird sentence. Everyone I know that watched it stopped watching it.
Wow,
And-
really?
Wow.
And I don't know why, because no one seems to know why. Everyone's like, I enjoyed it, and then I stopped.
That's
Yeah.
me too.
Same.
I
I
can tell you why. Well, I haven't recorded and I haven't caught up. So does that
Okay.
count?
That's fine, yeah.
I haven't watched it since the end of. I have not watched this season at all.
hmm
I think I was caught up to maybe the end of the season before that. But the thing is that I completely adore it. But I just, and maybe this is what, talking about in terms of being like asexual or aromantic. Like I'm married, I love my husband, but other than that, I'm aromantic. Like I never wanted to be married before him. I don't want to be married if anything happens to him, but I love him. She's bouncing from boyfriend to boyfriend constantly, back and forth. It's just like over and over, and it's just like,
It's like 3 people, but yeah, it is a lot of her plotline.
I don't know. Yeah. Saoirse, were you going to say something? I thought you were.
Yeah, no, I was just like trying to think about why I stopped watching it, and I think it was just like I was watching it with The Flash and Arrow, and then I really stopped liking Arrow, so I
Mhm.
also stopped watching the other two.
Oh, okay.
Like I never got into the Flash, even though I wanted to. But my problem is like I've been spoiled on so much from the Flash because of
yeah,
the
yeah.
crossover with Supergirl.
Oh, that's yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a while, I was trying to catch up with See, I'm like 3 seasons behind. But like when I stopped watching it, it was not that far before, I guess, like, I don't know if they've done another one now, but like when they had the musical episode. So then I was like,
Yeah.
I want to catch up to the musical episode, but like I never did. And I wanted to be able to
I
see
actually,
that.
like,
so I could-
I think I was only like 2 or 3 episodes after the musical episode that I stopped watching as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. That had Darren.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a fun one.
See, I
Yeah.
wanted to see that. Maybe I'll just watch that and be like, whatever, I don't care.
And the reason, honestly, you don't need to know much about either show to watch that episode.
Okay.
It's fun.
Well, then,
But the reason I brought it up is because for the first time ever, television or movies, we have a trans superhero on
Oh.
Supergirl, and she is
in this season.
and last season I think
okay.
Oh
Dreamer.
wait. Oh no, I haven't caught up to that point. Then
Yeah, no, she's in last season and this season, and the
And
actress is trans, and the character
That's
is
what I was gonna
trans.
Okay.
And it's great, and it's a part of her identity, and it's like super normalized. Every so often, there's like challenges with it, like all trans people face, but a lot of
Mhm.
trans people are praising the representation, and I just think it's another example of even in 2020, people are using superhero media to break boundaries and discuss things like that.
It's true. Yeah. Well, that's a good way to end because I guess we're at 1:15. But thank you guys so much for coming and talking about superheroes and geeking out. So thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for
Thanks
doing
for
it.
doing it.
Yay.
Okay. In 15 minutes, Harley will be talking about Elvis, if anyone is interested in that.
Okay.
If not, check out the schedule. Lots of fun panels over the next 2 days. Thank you, everyone.
Yay. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.